Hey, team.
Okay, great. I'll call together the regular council meeting of Tuesday, September 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. We'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of the territory, Treaty 7 territory, and the Otipemisowa Métis government, District 4. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. So first up, we have William Stevenson. He's elected Conservative Party of Canada candidate for our new Yellowhead riding for the next federal election. Come on up, Mr. Stevenson, have a seat. And if you can, just speak right into the mic and we'll give you 5 minutes.
Well, thank you. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just thought because I got the nomination, I'm going to try and make it around. I don't know when the next election is, but I'm going to try to make it around to all the councils and try and do as many community events throughout. As you know, I did win the nomination, and we had one of our votes here in the community hall, and that's actually where I was able to get over the threshold. Crossfield Carstairs are what won me partly because I'm fairly local, only living a few miles west. So I wanted to put a face, everybody to have the face of the name, and so we can start the conversation early. I want to be accessible because this is, and I know my history's been working behind the scenes. I was Blake Richards' financial agent for his entire career, so he's going to have to find a new one in the next election. But I know that Crossfield for the Banff Airdrie was one of the strongest conservative thresholds they had. So I'm hoping to be able to represent that fairly well in there as well. So, but for the most part, I just wanted to get my face so you know that I'm going to be accessible. I'm close. This riding is I'm sure you've seen the new map. This riding goes right from the bottom of Kaneskas and north of Grand Cache. But we don't have a very large concentration any specific place. Canmore is our largest town, and then Hinton right after that. So then we have a whole bunch that are close to the 5,000 mark. So we're kind of spots all over. So it's going to be hard to make everybody happy with the next Conservative candidate being everywhere that they need to be seen. So, but I know this one will be easy, my easiest one to show up and represent for Crossfield, living so close. So will be, but I also just want to be able to be here to also hear some of your local concerns. I've heard a bunch of the concerns throughout the riding, housing, inflation, carbon tax. It's all problem that we're gonna have to deal with. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna have an election before their next October, when you're gonna have council being elected here as well. So that's my assumption. Under most of that, the opposition is going to try and push to have it sooner, but I don't think we are. But anyways, if anybody had any questions, I can take those too. But I don't have a whole lot to say. I just wanted to make an introduction and let you know that I am going to be available and around here. So.
Great, thanks, William. I don't have a question, but I think I'll just more of a broad statement. If you are elected, I think that not only our municipality, but municipalities that will be in your riding will all have the same issue. And the issue is infrastructure funding for municipalities, especially of our size, moving forward to keep up with the pace of growth and inflation and all of those things. If the governments want to send people to Alberta or attract people here to our small towns, we need help with that infrastructure money. We can do the rest. We can do the permits. The builders will build the houses and all of that. but give us that water, sewer, roads, pipes, all that infrastructure money and we're good. So that's, if you win, that's what we'll be looking for from you, is a push for that.
Yeah, I know there's a big concentration on the big cities and the rural ones don't get the same, sure.
Yeah, but most of your writing is,
All of it, yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll be looking for you.
Yeah. I'll do my best.
All right, excellent. Anything else from council?
I'm good, thanks.
Excellent, perfect.
Okay.
Well, thanks for coming in and introducing yourself, and we hope to see you around.
Well, I might just hang around and listen for a bit.
Sounds good. Okay, item number 2.1, September 17th agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, if there's none, can I get a motion?
Through Chair,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that the agenda be accepted as prepared.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item 3.1, September 3rd, 2024, regular council meeting minutes. Are there any additions, changes to that? If not, can I get a motion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I move that the minutes of the September 3rd, 2024 regular council meeting be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, so we are at delegations 4.1, and we'll be swearing in the bylaw officer, Franziska Edie. Franziska, as you know, has been our student intern municipal enforcement officer for the past 2 seasons. She's still going to school, but she has agreed to fill the gap for us for a couple of days while she's in school. So Franziska, if you come up here, we'll just get you all sworn in. Here. Take that out. Hi. Back. Okay, moving on. We're gonna need a motion. If somebody could make the motion on item 4.1.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I move that Franziska Edie be appointed as bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Crossfield effective September 17th, 2024. And there you go.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, item 4.2, food cycler municipal waste diversion compost program. Jacob Hanyon from Municipal Solutions, and I believe Jacob's online.
Good evening, council.
Hi, Jacob. Go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen here and I will get started. Okay, perfect. So I just want to start by saying thank you very much to the mayor and councilors and members of staff for having me hosting me here virtually tonight. I am located over here in Ottawa, so I would have made the trip if I could, but I appreciate the accommodations. So my name is Jacob Hanlon. I'm the Municipal Solutions Manager at Food Cycle Science, and I'm just here to provide some information on our food waste diversion programs. So to give a little bit of a background on who we are, so Food Cycle Science is a Canadian company. We are based out of Ottawa, but we have programs running all across Canada. Our main goal is to be 100% focused on food waste diversion solutions, and we do this using our innovative technology, which is the Food Cycler. So the Food Cycler is an in-home food recycler, and while it is sold direct to consumers and businesses, we also put them into classrooms through some partnerships with not-for-profit organizations like Eco Schools Canada, and then into municipalities, and that's what I'm going to be speaking about today here. So our municipal solutions help communities of all sizes keep food waste out of their landfills. We're currently working with 145 Canadian municipalities across 9 provinces and 2 territories, from some very rural and remote northern communities to more densely populated urban areas as well. In Alberta, we have a number of programs. I'll just name a few here. We have programs in the town of Blackfalds, the town of Drayton Valley, Flagstaff County, and the county of Grand Prairie, just to name a few of them. One thing that all these communities have in common is they've all faced challenges with waste management, with landfill capacity, and they're looking to keep food waste out of their landfills. So the main issue that we're here to address and help municipalities address is that the issue with food waste here, it's a very avoidable portion of our waste stream. It often accounts for a large portion of our household waste, sometimes up to 50%. And it is made up of mostly liquid, which is unpleasant to deal with as a resident. It's heavy if residents are hauling their waste, or if it's being collected. There's just a lot of tonnage and mass that comes along by putting your food waste into your garbage. And then on top of that, when food waste does end up in the landfill, it's responsible for generating some pretty harmful greenhouse gases as well. And so all these factors make it so that food waste is an issue that has a pretty strong municipal impact. Now, one of the impacts to our municipalities is because food waste makes up such a large portion of our household waste stream, it is causing our landfills to fill up quickly. Operating a landfill is quite costly, and whether it's privately owned by the municipality or the county, I think everybody along the line faces those costs that are associated with it, whether it's the municipality or the resident. The cost of expanding a landfill or closing one and opening a new one is quite high. So we really want to extend the lifespan of them for as long as we can. When we look at the environmental impact, putting food waste in the landfill, when it breaks down in that environment there, it produces methane gas, which is quite a bit more harmful for the environment than something like CO2. It's been said that taking 1 ton of food waste out of the waste stream is the equivalent to taking 1 car off the road for an entire year. And then in our communities, when we do put food waste in the garbage, it just causes a number of issues like the smells and the mess, which is unpleasant for humans, of course, but interesting for animals who like to come and get into our trash. So removing food waste from the garbage eliminates all these issues, and then it reduces the overall volume of what's being either hauled or collected and then transported either to a transfer station or to the landfill. So this can obviously save on hauling and disposal fees, it can save space in the landfill, and it can save residents on some hassle and any waste fees that they might face. So we often get asked the question, haven't we solved this food waste issue already? There's obviously other solutions out there like green bins, which are typically more common in the bigger cities and communities with the right density and infrastructure. But it's a pretty cost prohibitive program to implement. It's operationally challenging as well. Many people in your community might backyard compost, and while this is a great solution, unfortunately, it's just not feasible for everybody. It's certainly not a year-round solution either with our harsh winters. And there's that concern about animals getting into our backyard compost bin. And then finally, the easiest solution is to continue to landfill food waste. But as I touched on here, it's full of costs and long-term impacts that are really taking a toll on communities and the environment as well. So I'm just going to play a brief video here and give a depiction of what the Food Cycler is. So the main goal with putting food cyclers into residents' homes as a program is focusing on making food waste management very easy to do and right at home without the need to take it anywhere. So essentially, we built a small appliance. It's about the size of a bread machine, and you can put in about 99% of your daily food scraps, including things like meat and bones and fish and dairy. And then you push a button, and overnight it reduces that by about 90%. And then what you're left with is actually quite similar to a fertilizer, where it's high in nutrient value, it's dry, it's odorless, and you can actually integrate that into your your landscaping, your lawns, your gardens, and it will help increase the soil health and help with plant growth as well. The food cycler, I know obviously in the video, it's on somebody's countertop, but it really doesn't have to go in the kitchen or on the counter. It can go anywhere that has a plug. That bucket is removable as well. So some people use the bucket as a catcher in the kitchen, and then they put it in their food cycler once the bucket's full, which can be anywhere in the house or in the garage even. These are the two food cyclers that we put into our municipal program. So the biggest difference is just the size. We believe it's important to give residents options based on their household size. So the Eco 3 is a 3.5 liter capacity, while the Eco 5 is a 5 liter capacity. Both units do the exact same thing. They both operate in the same amount of time, 8 hours, 9 hours or less. They have minimal power consumption as well, between 0.9 and 1.3 kilowatt hours of power per cycle. So similar to having a computer plugged in for that same amount of time. And then both food cyclers also have charcoal filters in them as well, just to make sure that no smells come out. Really like this depiction here of the before and after. So it's, as I mentioned there, the 90% reduction in the weight and volume of food waste. So what you're putting in takes up a lot of space, it's wet, it's smelly, and then what comes out is really almost a powder that has no odor and can actually go right into your garden right away. So quite the difference, and just wanted to emphasize that with this visual here. We understand that not everybody has a garden or wants to garden. So when you take that byproduct out of your food cycler, you can also put it into a backyard composter or a similar option like a tumbler or green cone. It can go into leaf and yard waste systems, local compost sites, local farms, community gardens as well. And it can also go into a green bin or an organics facility where those are available. So when we look at the environmental impact of using a food cycler, it is a net negative carbon solution. And what that means is like planting trees or using solar panels, when you're using the food cycler as a solution to avoid bringing food waste to a landfill, you're actually avoiding more greenhouse gases in the process than you're creating. When we look at the food cycler from an economic side of things, when we compare that to the traditional waste management method, which is typically involving trucks and facilities and transfer stations and a lot of labor as well, that traditional method, it's quite heavily burdened. There are a lot of unrelenting costs associated with all those steps, and they're typically increasing costs year after year. With the food cycler, it's a truly decentralized approach. So people create their kitchen scraps and their food waste at home. They get to manage it at home and then integrate that into their property or in their landscaping or their gardens. And they don't actually have to transport it anywhere. So it avoids the labor, greenhouse gas emissions from cars and trucks on the road. And there's no infrastructural costs to the municipality or to residents either. Now, I understand that Crossfield is a small town, and I'm sure it's gone through some of your minds that our residents may not be interested in something like this. And one thing we've learned from working with municipalities from small towns up in the Yukon to rural BC and Alberta and everywhere else in between, residents are quite interested in this type of thing. And whether they live in an apartment, a dense city, or a more rural small town, they're quite grateful when their local governments bring these types of initiatives to them and provide them with an opportunity to divert their organic waste where they might not have necessarily had any options before that. Now, I mentioned that we are working with about 145 Canadian municipalities. To date, we've completed pilot programs in over 80 of them, and we've received feedback and survey data from over 10,000 households. So this is just a snapshot of the results from those surveys. The two that I'll just quickly point out, that participation rate. So it is an opt-in program, but that being said, 98% of participants in the program report they're going to keep using their food cycler moving forward after the pilot period as their food waste diversion solution. Very encouraging to see. And then the other one I'll just touch on is that net new waste diversion. So based on residents tracking how much they're using their food cycler and reporting that, we've estimated that each household with a food cycler is diverting about 300 kilograms of food waste per year. So very substantial, a lot of tonnage there that's no longer going into the landfill, and just really encouraging to see that as well. So the pilot program is typically a 12-week project. Once we partner with a municipality, residents will then purchase a food cycler at the discounted and subsidized rate from the municipality, which I'll get to in the next slide here. They'll use their unit for 12 weeks, track their number of cycles per week, and then at the end, they fill out an exit survey. We take all that exit survey data, put it into a really nice report and presentation, and then we present it back to you to show you the success of the program and the feedback from your residents. And then the residents get to keep their food cycler for good after those 12 weeks. And then we work, our team works with your staff to determine if there are grants available to expand the program. We like to work together to integrate this into waste management plans and climate action plans if those are available as well. So this is the funded pilot program subsidy model here. So you have the retail price there at the top for food cyclers at that retail level. They're just not accessible to everybody in terms of the financial side of it. So when we partner with the municipality, we discount that by 50%. And then we ask that the municipality subsidizes $100 per participating household. And then the resident chips in that final amount of $200 or $300. For the resident, it's a one-time low-cost fee to have access to this solution. For the municipality, it's also a one-time low cost to divert organics and provide the residents with an actual organics program where they may not have necessarily had one, and without having to look at big contracts and trucks and organics facilities as well. So just to kind of summarize all that, these are just pilot size and scope recommendations here. For a town the size of Crossfield, we would recommend the 100 household pilot program. That is our program minimum size. And with that $100 per participating household subsidy, the municipal investment would be $10,000 from the town. We've had many communities who have applied for grants to help fund the program and also requested funding from their upper tier or their county or even their regional waste commission, just because that waste commission is typically benefiting from the program as well. With all that being said, that's really it that I have for the presentation. This is just kind of a summary slide here with a lot of benefits of the program. I guess the ones that I'll just briefly touch on, because I think I kind of got through most of these throughout the presentation, is just that you're providing residents with an opportunity to really effectively manage their food waste better and not have to put it in the garbage or worry about animals or worry about the ick factor that comes with generating food waste at home. And you're providing them an option that they may not have necessarily had before or that they couldn't necessarily have access to before. So all that being said, just want to say that on my end, I'm asking that you just receive this presentation as information today. I'm not looking for any sort of decision, but just providing information on what our program is and who we've been partnering with. If there is interest in exploring a program, we're happy to be referred to a staff member to bring a report and recommendation back to council. But with that being said, thank you very much for allowing me to present. I really appreciate your time. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them now.
Great. Thanks for your presentation, Jacob. Questions for Jacob?
Through the chair. Jacob, I do have a question. So when the process is done, you said it's dry. So once you mix it with the soil in your gardens or any pots or anything in the yard, once you add water to it, will that cause an odor?
Thank you for the question and through the mayor. It won't cause any odors once it reactivates. So essentially when it does get integrated back into the soil and there's water that's added, those microbes are activated and the nutrients, it really just, it starts continuing to compost at that point. So no odors come from that byproduct, whether it's dry or wet.
Thank you.
Councillor Brennan.
Through the chair. So Jacob, the actual benefit that you're offering to the town with this program is just the subsidy that you offer because it's of the pilot that you're bringing here? Or is it the idea that it's taking off some burden on our waste collection?
Through the chair, both of those are some of the benefits. So for one, obviously, with the discounts and the subsidies and everything, residents have access to this technology at a much reduced rate than I guess at the retail level. But yeah, the main point and goal of this program is just coming from that waste management side of things. And for most residents who aren't necessarily backyard composting or feeding their scraps to their chickens or anything like that. If they were just putting their food waste in the garbage, which is typically quite a few residents, it's then taking that burden off of the waste management system, freeing up some landfill capacities as well, and just reducing the tonnage that's going through that whole system.
So, and then do you have any numbers? Do you have any numbers like from that 11,500 that we would be spending? Like what would you gain back in the long term from what we didn't have to put in the landfill?
Yes, so we do have numbers that have been averages across the board. It really depends on your tipping fees, the cost to manage a ton of waste within your landfill. And those are numbers that if we have access to them, we're happy to put together kind of that payback period or that time it'll take to recoup the cost of the program. On average, we really see it's about 2.5 years for that investment from the municipality to be directly financially recouped through the reduced tonnage, which is one of the benefits of the program. Obviously, extended landfill life as well is something that's not necessarily integrated into that timeline. But yeah, that being said, it's on average, we see it's about 2.5 years. And then from that point on, it's just straight savings from there.
Okay. And how long do the machines last?
Lifespan of the machines is between 7 and 10 years. We say 7 years as a conservative number, but typically 7 to 10 years. They're also built in a very modular fashion. Each machine only has about 7 or 8 components to them. So when, let's say, if a fan dies out or a component like that, it's very easy to either replace the part or just replace the residents. Our team replaces the residents' food cycler, and then we take theirs back, refurbish it, and typically would donate that to a school or something along those lines.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jacob?
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Mike. Counselor Knight.
Deputy Mayor, that's okay. I won't hold it against you.
Thank you.
Jacob, two questions. One is, well, a few. One is, what's the warranty of the devices?
Yes, thank you. So through the chair, the standard warranty is 1 year. It can be increased for about, I believe it's $25 per unit per year if requested, but that never really happens in our municipal programs. We find that if something is to go wrong with the machine, it's either a manufacturing defect that is noticed right away, or B, a user error, just because for some people it is a new piece of technology. Maybe they don't properly follow the instructions, but it is a pretty simple process. But anything that typically happens would happen in the first cycle or two. So in terms of that year warranty, it's definitely more than enough, but that's the standard that comes with it.
Second question is are there any metrics in a town of our size, like 2,000 residents, 2,000 devices? I know you said 2.5 years of a return in costs. That must be in a city much larger than ours. I can't possibly fathom the amount of savings that we go into we have a bit about our recycle and our dumpster. We have 2 of those. We don't carry a green box right now either, but do you typically have a presentation ability where you say, hey, this is what it costs the municipality over 10 years, and this is the savings? To say that there's a test profile, you don't really have an idea what the actual savings are. I can't see it.
So for a community of your size, we definitely do have partnering municipalities that are of similar size. We started with the smaller 1,000 to 5,000 population towns when we began these programs about 3.5 years ago. So I can definitely get some data on similar size communities, and even if it would be helpful for me to connect a staff member from that community with a member of your staff to provide information from their experience, that's always something we're happy to do as well. Until we know what your waste management costs are and the costs associated with every ton or every 100 kilograms of food waste going through the system, we can't give you an exact estimate, of course, but we are happy to do what we can and provide that information if the information on your waste management costs are made available to us. And that's a conversation that we're happy to have with staff if requested as well.
Thanks for that information. Thanks, Mayor.
Great. And thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else? Okay. If there's no further questions, can I get a motion, please?
Through the chair.
Counselor Lambert, go ahead.
I'll make the motion that council accept this report for information and defer any further discussion on it till the fall budget deliberations.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks, Jacob. Have a great
Thank
night.
you. Thank you very much. You as well. Take care.
Okay, moving along to item 5.1, engine 155 replacement update. And we'll have the fire chief present. And Russ. That's right.
Council members, it's just a little bit of background in terms of what has happened with the replacement with engine 155. Back at the beginning of the year, undertook the potential replacement of that unit for what was called the Point, which is basically putting an engine and an aerial device put together into one unit. Unfortunately, when we came around to the procurement, getting ready for the procurement of that unit, it no longer was available. So we switched gears and tried to find another potential secondhand unit, and unfortunately, I have not been able to find a viable unit for its replacement. These units are very, very tough to find, especially within proper capacities, proper age range, to make it viable for a purchase for the town. So we've switched gears a little bit again, and what we'd like to present is potentially an engine for an engine or like for like replacement for that unit, and postpone the potential replacement of the aerial for another few years down the road for the future procurement. Through looking through for a secondhand unit for an engine just itself, it is the secondhand business for apparatus is very hot right now. Many municipalities are looking for secondhand units. Much of that has to do with potential build times, for custom build units being anywhere from 2 to 3 years on the time of order. So secondhand units have become very hard to find within the capacities that I'm looking at replacing this unit with. So I look to any new potential builds that have come about. Now, when we talk about fire trucks, there's 2 specific types or body styles that I look at. One would be the commercial style, which is presently what we have right now, very much a general purpose type of chassis that you would see delivery trucks, hauling trucks, that kind of stuff. The other style is what we call a cab over, a custom chassis style. That's what you would see most traditional fire trucks in terms of a chassis. I have been able to find two potential new units that we could pick up probably within the next few months. They are on ground. They're just having some just a few little odds and ends being done to them. But it has been told to me that they will be available this year for purchase. So in terms of options in which we're bringing forward, option number 1 is going to be for a purchase of a cab over type style of fire truck, which is, as I said, traditionally within the department. With this type of chassis, it does come with it a number of advantages to provide for operational efficiencies within the department, just basically primarily because these types of trucks are built for the fire service. Okay. With it, there is also an increase in costs, just for the main reason of the way it's manufactured, and the specifications in which it is built. With this option, I'd like to, we would require 1.15 million for the procurement of this truck, which would increase the new financing payments to $242,157 and 75 cents per year. Did I get that right? I think so. I've had a lot of numbers going through my head today. So that would be for the same 5 year that we had potentially planned for the original payments. So it would be a 5-year term with an additional 115,000 for the 6th year for a buyout. So this option would bring great value to the department and the town as a whole. It does bring new technology into the fire services. It will continue the compliance with today's fire industry standards. And please do understand that this is also not just a 10 or 15-year expenditure. This is going to be within the fire department or the town's fleet for the next 20 to 25 years. And also it will have with it the applicable warranties as well, ranging anywhere from 5 years for the engine. I believe 7 years for body, but there's a full list within the appendix that the warranty does come with. Option number 2. This is for another new unit, but this is going to be in the commercial chassis. This one is due to the main feature that it is a general chassis, international chassis. It does come with a lower price tag. The total for such apparatus is $950,000 plus required financing. Again, over the same 5 years, we would be looking at just a slight increase to $200,043.36 per year, with an end buyout of $95,000 in the 6th year. Option number 3 is I keep on looking for a secondhand unit within this within this hot type of secondhand volatile market. There are definitely secondhand units out there, but it also needs to be understood that I also need to look for specific capacities within that engine, especially with the potential growth of the town and of the industrial commercial sectors as well here in the future. So that is definitely one of the big things that I do look at when I'm looking at trucks for the future of the town. Okay. So the proposed motion that we'd like to bring forward is that council support option 1 as presented and defer this option to fall capital budget deliberations for final consideration.
Okay, great. Thanks for your presentation. Does council have any questions for Fire Chief?
To the chair, I do. So if we go with option 1, if you purchase that one, either way, if it's 1 or 2, are they going to be operational ready, or once they arrive, you're going to have to put more funding into them to make them operational ready?
No, any money, if anything, will be minimal. They will be operational, as they come to us.
Okay. And my second question,
Mhm.
yours. So have you looked into any additional funding towards the purchase, or are there any grants available? Have you looked into maybe doing any fundraisers? Like, because I know a few years ago, the fire department did do a fundraiser. They did an evening with dinner, and it was actually very popular.
Okay.
Just
can
kind of
definitely look into
offset
that,
your
yeah.
costs a little bit. Yeah.
Through the chair, if I may, yeah, Councillor Fox, in terms of grants, minimal is out there
Mhm.
for fire services,
Okay.
unfortunately. But yeah, we can definitely look at some other funding resources as well.
Okay, any other questions?
Through chair. Just out of curiosity, what manufacturer are you looking to go with if you go with new
Rosenbauer,
Rosenbar?
out of Red Deer.
Good.
Oh, we're
Good
going
from
into
a
that
retired firefighter.
No, it's they're one of the better manufacturers out there.
Oh, okay.
But is that an exterior pump panel?
Yeah, anything else, Counselor Bank?
That's actually what Councillor Brennan was saying here is this an enclosed pump or exterior?
Unfortunately, through the chair, if I may, it is exterior. Unfortunately, if we were to go with any type of interior cap, or interior pump panel, that would be a full custom build. So that would be ordered and then probably a 2-3 year wait time for us to get it, within our hall.
That's all I have to know.
Okay. Counselor Gustafson.
Thank you,
Bursting at
Mayor.
the seams.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just looking at the your leasing tables here. Your options here, is that through that company?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
I guess one suggestion as well is to maybe look at some different financing options as well. I see the residuals here. Well, it's not really it's different than I look at every day. Like I literally look at these numbers every day of the week. So I would definitely look at some even a financing versus a leasing, like how they're setting it up is a little bit different. So and they've got you got a never plan, the 96-month one. But yeah, that would be my only suggestion, is to look at some different options when we are purchasing. Possibly, even a bank loan with a better rate on it, and then, or different leasing companies that can provide different residuals that might be more advantageous to the town. My only suggestion.
Perfect. Deputy Mayor, any questions from you?
No, Counselor Guston got mine right there. Thanks.
Okay, all good. All right, anything else from council? Okay, if there's no further questions or discussion, let's get a motion.
Through the chair, I'll make the motion that council support option 1 as presented and defer this option to the full capital budget deliberations for final consideration.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Motion carried. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6.0, councilor reports. So I attended the Crossfield Wellness event on last Sunday. It was well attended and really well worth it. And I did see Councillor Brennan put on a stinky costume of some sort,
It was chicken.
right? It was a chicken. Fitting, very fitting.
Shots fired.
I attended Community Fest as well, and that was really, really good. I was happy to have Urban Systems there and the tent all set up and with the town branding on it. It looked really nice, and I appreciated that as well. I also met with the CRM with the CEO Barney last week. I've attended the CEO meetings in the past 2 weeks, and we've had 2 mid-sized towns mayors caucus meetings in the last 2 weeks as well, preparing for Alberta municipalities. Deputy Mayor, you're up.
September 11th, I attended the monthly Mountain View Regional Water Commission meeting. We're starting the budgeting process for water costs next year, water usages. That was our main topic of conversation. We'll be coming back to towns here in the next month or two with what the budgets look like for water.
Great, thanks, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Brennan.
Last week, I also attended the, as you heard, the community wellness event. I thought that was really good considering the heat. And then ironically was it the next day? No,
2 days later.
2 days later, it was the, what's that
Community
called?
Fest.
Community Fest. And the weather took an absolute dive, but I was still pretty impressed with how many people turned out and how well everyone's booth looked. And apart from that, that's all I have to present.
Thanks, Councillor Brennan. Councillor Fox.
I also attended the community fest. Just a little bit of feedback, Lindsay. Those little flower pots that we had, they were very popular.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to bring them in again next year, and the frisbees. And the only other thing is I should have a fall funding rec board meeting coming up pretty soon.
Yep, we should, October.
Mhm.
I think it is. Councillor Gustafson.
Community Fest. Excuse me, Community Fest. I attended that, and then tomorrow afternoon we have a Rocky View Foundation meeting that I'll be attending virtually, but along with a couple other ones. And then I know Melissa from the Rocky View Foundation has reached out to the town to set up a time for Chris Rowe, our CAO, to attend one of our council meetings to present, do his presentation on our mission, programs, and contributions to the community.
Really good, thank you. Councillor Lambert.
Nothing to report.
And Councillor Vang.
All I have to report is I attended the Chamber of Commerce health permit last week, and a little disappointed by the lack of turnout this year. Other than that, it was not bad.
I agree. Just so you guys know, I golf much better than Councillor Vang did. All right, thanks for the updates. Can I get a motion?
To the chair,
Go ahead.
I'll motion that the council reports be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, item 7.1, outstanding items list. CEO Barney.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. So just a couple of adjustments I would like to request on this one. The snow removal and ice control program, that review is underway. We've recently had the addition of our Director of Infrastructure and Community Growth to the team, so he'll be working with Murray on that item as well. So I'd like to ask that one be adjusted to Q4 of 2024. The town-owned lands item, we are slating to bring forward on the 15th of October, that inventory for council's review. However, I feel that it probably might make more sense to have a more robust discussion with council early in the new year around the utilization of land and what that strategy looks like. So that will likely form part of our recommendation out of that presentation on the 15th. And then subsequently that would impact the 2 properties that sit on Railway and the proposals for those, because that would likely form part of that broader discussion. So as a result of that timeline, I would suggest that item 024 also be adjusted to Q1 2025 to allow them to be part of that broader discussion.
And that's it? Okay. Any questions for CEO Barney?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Just a comment actually on the town-owned lands is, we talked about utilization, but we're talking about, I think maybe what I'm thinking about is more than just utilization is revenue, that these lands is that included in what we're looking at, or have we got that deep?
Sorry, I should probably pull the microphone here. I'm not sure how well I'm
projecting over the audio. To answer your question, Councillor Guston through the chair, that would fall under the leasing of town facilities and land policy. That will be the starting point of that discussion. And that's one that we have slated, and I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but it is definitely coming forward here in November, I believe. Mid-November is that one would come forward, and that's where we would have more of a review of how we're managing some of the revenue components as it relates to town facilities and lands. And then out of that, we would likely see some adjustments to some of the existing contracts that we may have, the ones that have expired, and what they look like going forward as it relates to the use of town lands and facilities.
Yeah, and I guess, council's expectation on, each land individually and what our ratepayers are expecting on returns on their investment, really.
Mhm.
So that is what we're doing here.
100%.
Okay,
The town-owned facilities, though, is merely what you'll see in October 15th is an inventory that kind of speaks to this is what we have, this is the vacant property that we have, this is it kind of classifies the different land that we have as a municipality, and you'll be able to see that broad overview. The detailed discussion around the use of that would follow in the new year, but prior to the end of the year, we would have that conversation around the leasing of land as well as town-owned facilities.
okay.
Any other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, can I get a motion? With the amendment? Councillor Fox? Okay.
I just want
All right, I make the motion that 026 adjusted snow removal and ice control program to Q4 2024 and 024 tax sales lands proposed uses to Q1 2025.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carried. Thank you. Item 8.1, there's no correspondence to be accepted. Hang on. No, we have correspondence, so I'll need a motion to accept it for information.
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Councillor Gustafson.
I'll move that the items under correspondence be accepted for information.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. And so I kind of jumped ahead there, I think. I have the administrative updates. The heck was I thinking? Right?
Just looking at the.
Oh, I was looking at that one, yeah.
wasn't on the list.
That's okay. Sorry, Lindsay. Just kind of messed that one up, but administrative update was only the outstanding item list. We didn't have any other updates. Okay, great. Correspondence good, and then any upcoming events and programs are on the Crossfield website, so go check them out. And which leads us to adjournment.
Through chair.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion to adjourn. Don't make.
Thank you.
Snappy on them.
You Luke.
There you go.
Sorry, I had to readjust myself there for a second.